to call it a copycat issue. Rather,
I would say that we have a national issue with regards to mass shootings. We've seen this, we saw this on the subway here in New York and so forth. So there's certainly an uptick, and they can't all be copying each other.
We heard just earlier from Manuel Oliver, who said he is angry. His son died at the Parkland shooting. He said there's been 250,000 victims of gun violence since then. When we are talking about these types of incidences occurring more frequently, with your background, what has you the most concerned?
The biggest concern for me, and first of all, Miss Oliver certainly has the right to be angry because, as he mentioned, the cameras are on these parents and loved ones for 5 minutes, and then everyone forgets until it happens again. My biggest concern is the inability of law enforcement to prevent these types of incidents. And that's not because of a failure of law enforcement. There simply are not enough law enforcement officials in this country to place in every single school, every single supermarket, every church, every mall, every amusement park.
And he is right. He is right. There is not enough law enforcement or anyone to police anyone. This is ridiculous what happened today. It's ridiculous what has happened in every other school. It's ridiculous. Arm your teachers. Make it where no one can cross anyone. Honestly, it's getting too insane. And by the way, this will be an open panel tonight because I want to hear everyone talk about this. Our kids have got to go to school and come home safe.
How is that possible? So what we see constantly is a response after the fact. There is really, it's impossible for law enforcement to know that this type of act is going to occur. So in some way, shape, or form, we have to take preventative measures in other forms. And the number one way is there are far too many guns in this country. We are one of the few countries in the world this size, with this level of income, this robust, that has this particular issue. Why? We simply have too many weapons. It's not a Second Amendment issue. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the proliferation of handguns in this country. It is too easy for the average person who wants to commit some harm to get a handgun or an assault rifle and carry that out. And that is something that's going to be very difficult for law enforcement to prevent until we have some type of change in our laws with regards to firearms.
All right, Kirk Burkhalter, thank you.
My pleasure.
Joining us now is Ed Davis. He is the former police commissioner for the Boston Police Department. He served in that position during the Boston Marathon bombing in 2013. Former Commissioner, thank you for joining us. As somebody who has responded to, really lived through a horrific mass casualty incident, I'd love to get your reaction to today's shooting in Uvalde.
Well, from a purely human level, I'm sickened by it. It's just a horrible, horrible thing to think of these young children who were cut down before they got to live their lives. And I just think about some of the things that have been done in places like New Zealand, where they were able to move quickly and limit the number of weapons that were available to people, so that these type of...
I'm going to stop him right there. We have a constitution. New Zealand doesn't. All right? When we're talking about separate governments, New Zealand does not have a constitution. We in America, we're in America, okay? Most. We have a right to defend ourselves. We can own a gun, right? I own guns, not going to lie. Not saying I'm a good shot, but if I need to, I can defend myself. So when they compare, excuse me, other countries to America, that's not going to work because we have the Second Amendment. Okay, guys, don't forget that. I know a lot of people won't agree, but we do have a right to bear arms here, okay? But we can't have kids going into schools shooting people. We just can't. Hang on one second. Amber, anymore you have to have guns and yeah, there's nothing wrong with arming your house. Nothing. Diana said, finish the border wall now. Okay, yeah. Let parents come in. Let parents come into the schools. Why are children in danger? Layla says, maybe school uniforms should come with bulletproof vests. That's a sick society. It is. It is. It is. We have public schools. We do. If I'm getting on a plane, they check me head to toe. I have to walk through an x-ray machine, the whole 9 yards. If I go to the courthouse, take everything in your pockets, you can go in. You go to school, nothing. These are our children. All right? And Bonnie, you're right. If every law-abiding citizen gave away their right to protect themselves, guess who wouldn't? The criminals.
But things can't happen. This is the United States. It's not New Zealand. I'm not advocating repealing the Second Amendment. What I am strongly saying is the logjam in Washington needs to be broken. There needs to be something put in place that quantifies people who have homicidal ideation, homicidal tendencies. Get them on a list, and at the very least, make sure that they can't buy guns or ammunition. And if they have guns, take the guns off them. I agree with Kurt. There's too many guns out there, but that's a first step, a first logical step that we should be able to come to terms with. There'll be debate about what constitutes mental illness and how far you should go, and let's have that debate. But once we set some rules up, things like Buffalo will be harder to do. We don't know enough about Uvalde right now to know exactly where he got the guns and what his background was, but we'll drill down into it, and it will be similar to other incidents that we've seen. I guarantee it. The problem is nobody's willing to stand up and say enough is enough, that we really need to do something.
And yet we hear that over and over again from the parents, from the survivors, from law enforcement officials. But as you say, this investigation is still just in the very beginning stages. So tell us, what are the next steps for the investigation following today's attack? Where does law enforcement go next?
Well, they've secured all the places that are involved, his home, his car, the school where the evidence is. They'll be drilling down into all of his devices to find out what he's been saying online. They'll also go and question people that have been associated with this guy and his family members to find out if there were any warning signs. there's a lot of work being done right now by the ATF and tracking the guns down and tracking down the lot numbers on the ammunition to try to find out exactly where he got them. And very quickly, there will be a very, very full accounting of exactly what happened here. There was a triggering incident. There was a copycat incident. There was something that drove this man to this madness. But we'll get the facts on the table. That's all happening right now. The police are exceptionally good at making that happen and making it happen quickly. The question is, what will we do when we learn how this happened? How is it similar to other incidents? And I saw the helmet cam video in Buffalo, and there is no stopping someone who's heavily armed getting out of the car and firing. There were 5 people dead there before they could even hear the gunshots. So all of the training that we're doing about run, hide, fight, it saves people on the periphery, but the initial targets are doomed. And the only way to deal with that kind of a reality is to prevent it from happening. We have to keep these weapons out of the hands of people who are talking about killing people.
Good luck, idiot. Let me tell you why. Because mental health is not treated properly in this country. Not. It's not. And anyone can own a gun. But you can't take protection away from people who are mentally sane. This is getting really ridiculous in schools. It's beyond ridiculous. It's been ridiculous for years.
That should be simple to do in the days when we can have an Uber audit and delivered, there are databases that cover everything. It's unconscionable that we don't have this information and cross-reference it with people who are buying ammo or guns.
As I mentioned, you were the Boston Police Commissioner during the Boston Marathon bombing in 2013. 3 people were killed in that. 17 people lost limbs. 264 people were hospitalized. We are still learning the numbers about what has happened in Uvalde and how many people have been impacted. But 9 years ago to today, what has changed for the better? What has changed for the worst? Obviously, we're seeing a rise in these types of incidents.
Right. So what's changed for the better is the amount of coordination and training that's occurring out there. Businesses and schools and universities are relying on people to come in and help them plan for a terrible incident to occur. And there's much more capacity among law enforcement agencies to share information and to work jointly when something like this happens. What hasn't happened is an improvement in the mental health of the people in this country. And there are a bunch of reasons for that I can speculate on that have to do with social media and being impersonal. There's not as much personal contact between people as there used to be. And so it just seems as though people don't have compassion for other human beings like they used to. And so these are big issues that have to do with technology and the way people think about their fellow human beings. But overall, we're in a bad place right now. The FBI reported this past week that the number of active shooter incidents for 2021 doubled from the year before. That is unacceptable. We have to do something about this, and I hope that our leaders come together on this.
Former Commissioner Ed Davis, thank you.
Thank you.
CBS News Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Skanga joins me now for the latest. Nicole, tell us, what are we learning about today's attack?
Well, Lana, we just learned from 2 law enforcement sources that said the shooting suspect is suspected of killing his grandmother before going to the school for that shooting rampage. We're also learning about the investigation itself. At this point, Texas Department of Public Health and Safety is leading the investigation, but they are being assisted by both the FBI and U.S. Customs and Border Protection. We should note, Lana, that CBS News also learning that CBP immediately responded to the scene to provide support, to provide medical aid during this shooting rampage. I'm told multiple agents ran to the scene. Now, we should point out for our viewers that, U.S. Customs and Border Protection is known for a U.S. Border Patrol. They are known to monitor, this part of the country for law enforcement activity relating to immigration enforcement, but they do sometimes provide backup in law enforcement situations. CBS News also learning that at least one CBP agent was wounded in the head, was shot during this shooting rampage. I'm told that individual is recovering in the hospital right now and remains in stable condition. But this is a shooting that drew from law enforcement responses from multiple federal and state and local agencies in the immediate aftermath of this happening.
Nicole, where do we stand in the investigation? And I appreciate that we have learned perhaps a little bit more about what has happened, particularly learning about his grandmother before the shooter moved on to the elementary school. Does that tell them anything more about a motive, et cetera?
At this point, Lana, law enforcement is still searching for a motive. We know that this is a local 18-year-old individual who was the gunman, still learning more about how that individual procured a handgun, possibly more weapons before entering that elementary school. And what law enforcement is going to do in the coming hours and days is try to develop a timeline for this individual to figure out at what point he procured the weapons used to put on this mass atrocity, at what point this individual arrived at the school, at what point did law enforcement show up. They're also right now poring over this individual's social media accounts, trying to discover a possible motive in there, see if this person had any ties to extremist ideology, as was the case in the recent tragic shooting we saw in Buffalo. And so at this point, at this stage in the investigation, Lana, there are more questions than answers, but these are the kinds of things that federal law enforcement will be doing in conjunction with Texas Department of Public Health and Safety. And so again, these are the questions that are being asked. Certainly in addition to that, still trying to get a firm number of victims here, a number of individuals who have been shot. We know, of course, Governor Abbott saying at that press conference that there are at least 14 students who have been killed, one teacher. We also know that the gunman is now deceased, learning more details surrounding how that occurred, whether he was shot by law enforcement or died by suicide. At this point, we're still learning more details pertaining to the shooter's death.
And we heard then in a subsequent press conference from the police department there in Uvalde that there were, quote, several injuries and some deaths. Do you know from any of your sources?
Hold on one second. I just saw a comment from Nancy. How many kids are shot in Chicago, south side of Chicago, and no one bats an eye? It's not even reported. Now, what we're seeing right now is tragic. It is tragic. There's also a madman on the loose in Texas, escaped jail. They say he's part of the Mexican mafia. No. He is part of the Jalisco cartel. And I'm not going to fight about guns because criminals have guns. So good people should have guns, right? Maybe he's a bad dude. Yeah, he's a bad dude. Every death is tragic. It's terrible. Hang on. Real Deal said, this is different. This is a massacre. I agree. I'm not disagreeing with anyone here. I'm not. What I'm saying is, if you want to have a fight about guns, how are you going to fight with a criminal? Because they will find a weapon. Think about these families today that have lost children. Court case said criminals don't follow the law. Why would they follow gun? They wouldn't. They don't. Here's the whole thing. When people say, get all the guns away, there can't be a gun. You can't have a gun. All right, fine. I'll take away all the ammunition. It's all it's gone. You can't have it. The law-abiding citizens will follow the law. Criminals won't. They won't. They just won't. Jules, if someone took my legal guns, I would then go to the streets and get more. Yeah. And you would have to. And then you would be a criminal. They'll find another way. When you're talking about a sick part of society, they will find another way to do their sick stuff. And I'm not saying I'm pro-gun. I've never had to use one. But if I need one, I want to make sure it's handy. Let's get through this. I'm going to open the panel. I want to hear all of your thoughts.
Says Nicole, why there is a bit of a discrepancy perhaps between the governor's numbers and the vague numbers that were provided by the Uvalde Police Department?
Oh, my understanding, Lana, is that this is an ongoing investigation, that there are many federal and state law enforcement agencies that are working to sort of iron out the details on the scene right now. So the numbers that we have been told at CBS News, similar to what the governor just announced at that press conference, but certainly, as is the case in many of these tragic events, many of these mass shootings, that number of deceased could grow. We could learn more. Of course, we know that there are several who right now have been rushed to the hospital that remain with their condition unknown, and so would not, be surprised to see that number of deceased tick up. Unfortunately, of course, we'll be working to get the latest numbers for our viewers here, the most accurate information. But at this point, I'm being told the same as the governor.
All right. Nicole, thank you.
Thank you.
CBS News security and law enforcement analyst James Gagliano joins me now. Galliano, excuse me, James. I always forget your the Italian spelling. It throws me on the teleprompter. But I want to ask you, James, because you were on the phone there. We just heard from Nicole that the suspect may have also killed his grandmother prior to the shooting at Robb Elementary. What might that tell us about the alleged shooter?
Well, I'll tell you this, just another senseless tragedy. And I think, Lana, the thing that I was immediately taken back, I was listening live to that report, was, American law enforcement has been looking at these school shootings for a long time. And the first one that we really looked to on record as being described as a mass shooting was Charles Whitman at the University of Texas Clock Tower back in 1966. He killed his mother before he came to the school and ended up, I think, killing 16 or 17 people. So it's just eerie, the symmetry. And, you know, so soon after we just talked about this horrific Buffalo shooting at a grocery store, here we are with young kids. You know, a lot of us have children, or a lot of us, you know, were children at one time and recall what it was like going to school and that sense of safety and security. And now police are left scrambling because the number one thing from the law enforcement perspective right now is, yes, the shooter is supposedly is deceased, as law enforcement is reporting, but it's also to make sure that this wasn't part of a bigger, broader conspiracy, that there weren't anybody that was giving this person material support, encouragement, incitement, direction, things like that. And law enforcement enters these things in a vacuum. And in this situation, Lana, they don't have the shooter himself to be able to interview or interrogate after the fact. They're going to be piecing this thing together with just old-fashioned gumshoe, you know, detective work, and obviously looking to see if there's any type of digital exhaust that this individual left in, you know, the 21st century technology type of world that we live in, where everybody's connected. But just a tragic, tragic scene. Prayers for all the families, and I sincerely wish the best to my law enforcement colleagues who are out there right now trying to make some sense out of something, Lana, that is just utterly devoid of sense.
Right, right. As we all seek understanding when
There is no understanding. It's a madman that came to the school. We pay taxes that fund our schools. We have to have security at the schools. Hell, to go to the courthouse, to go on a plane, you have to, they're protected. So why the hell is a pilot more protected or a judge than a child? Hi, Lone Wolf.
Hey, Brooks. Uh, this reminds me of Sandy Hook,
Mm-hmm.
Columbine. Sandy Hook, he shot his mother, and the psychology. So, pretty much behind this is when he shot his grandmother, he had no intentions of living.
And that's another problem. That's another problem. The targets are the schools now, and I don't know why.
Well, with this being sort of like a rural area, the schools have smaller classrooms. Okay, which
I get that.
you
I get
have.
it, but it's not target practice. Somebody wants to hurt someone. So we have mental illness, obviously. We've got that going on. Why aren't the schools protected?
Usually the doors are chained shut or locked to where you only have one entrance to come in.
Normally, chained shut means you can't get out for a fire. All right.
Yeah.
So something's got to be done. It's getting to a point where you can't even send your kids to school.
No.
And you have gun-free zones at schools where even the security officers can't have a gun. So then what happens when someone comes in through the cafeteria entrance, like in Columbine, that's one example,
Mm-hmm.
and goes crazy? Kids cannot defend themselves. They can't.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, the shooter is dead, but this is too much. It's getting more and more and more ridiculous. And it's not about guns, okay? It's not. People love to say it's guns, it's guns, it's guns, it's guns. Let me
No,
tell you
because
something. The day that I
only,
cannot defend myself is the day I'm defenseless.
no, then only criminals will have guns, and I can go in any major city and I can buy an illegal gun right off the street.
You can't, in Chicago, buy a gun. Guns are illegal in New York. So how do the criminals get them? How?
They go outside and bring them in.
Thank you. Where there's a will, there's a way. What's the will? And this person being dead today doesn't solve a damn thing.
We just seem to be coming up empty. James, you mentioned the 1966 clock tower shooter first killed his mother. Is there a profile that you're thinking of now with this shooter when you see that it sounds like he killed his grandmother before going on to shoot many innocent victims at Robb Elementary?
That's a great question, Lana. And just think back to 1966. I mean, I was 1 year old at the time. The word PTSD was not even in the American lexicon yet. And Charles Whitman, the shooter in that incident, was a troubled young man who had spent some time in Vietnam. He was a veteran of the military. And probably, I mean, I'm certainly not a psychiatrist, and I don't even believe an autopsy was done, but probably had some type of mental instability or mental condition that caused him to do it. There seems to be a thread through all this. Look, evil exists, and evil exists in people who are sane. But the common thread in so many of these shootings, so many of these mass shootings, are somebody who is disenfranchised, somebody that feels disaffected, disconnected, and they usually go someplace to find some type of validation, whether that's into the deep, dark recesses of the World Wide Web, whether that's joining some group. And I'm not suggesting that we have any information yet on what the affiliation or connections this individual had, but truly, truly tragic. And yes, I think as more details come forward, it'll start to paint a bigger picture. Very difficult to tell right now because the police have to deal with everything from, could this have been workplace violence? Could this have been, a love triangle? Could this have been, a domestic? Could this have been a hate crime? There's so many different things that you've got to work through on that. And I think, Lana, that the police are going to be working hard to get to the bottom of that as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and we are still at the very beginning parts of this investigation. In fact, we don't even have our hands fully around the number of casualties, the number injured. James, what's happening right now there in Uvalde, Texas? How does law enforcement first become notified about the shooting? How do they move together to start working as a unified group from all these different parts of, we know that FBI, the president is monitoring this now, that Customs and Border.
Why would Customs and Border Patrol be monitoring and the president possibly can't? There's no way he can. No way.
Actually, one Border Patrol agent was on scene before the FBI and everything got there.
They're basically just west of San Antonio, But I don't believe it's like an immigration issue. I mean, as far as I'm seeing right now, but I don't know. It's a school shooting, and every child should go to school safely. Period. And yes, mental health is extremely important, just like every other part of your body. Why are all these shootings going on all at once? It's insane. And Fancy Clancy, she said, in my opinion, I believe media plays a huge role in the increase in gun violence desensitization. Now, the media desensitizes everything. They will downplay stuff. It's a 2-second clip. Oh, look at this. You've been informed. Now we're on. It's insane. The whole thing is insane. Real Deal said, Border Patrol officer got shot. He is okay. All right. So, what to do to protect our children in school unless we have like armed guards all around the school? What to do?
There's schools now that are trying to get the police out of the schools because
Why?
they're arresting kids as far as for minor infractions that the schools used to handle.
Okay.
In other words, they've got armed police officers in schools, but no longer have guidance counselors.
Well, what's a guidance counselor going to do?
Oh, a guidance counselor is usually your first line of defense as far as for mental health issues.
Okay, I get that. I'm not worried about the kids in school. That's a different issue. I'm talking about people that go to schools and target the children. It's insane. Our children should go to school and they have a hard enough life as it is. Okay, they do. There's bullies in school. There's social media. There's a lot of things this world has created for them. True. Has. And now you have to worry about a school shooter coming in. A guidance counselor cannot take care of a school shooter. I am very happy that my sons are not in school anymore. I mean, this is ridiculous. KC Girl said, not true. Cops in schools have helped a lot, and it's not guns killing people. I'm damn strong. Yeah, I am too. I am definitely strong on the Second Amendment, very strong. And we can't stop criminals getting guns. We just can't. And if you want to have this argument, please grab the link and come up.
Patrol were immediately involved. Local police was involved. How does all of that come together?
So first of all, the way that we work this now in the 21st century, it's a collaborative effort. I mean, the FBI doesn't go it alone. You mentioned before, CBP is obviously involved in this. I'm sure the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the Texas Department of Public Safety, local police officers. This is going to be a conjoined effort. But make no mistake about this. Since the mid-90s, in instances like this, you always presume terrorism and you work backwards from that until you can disprove it. I'm not suggesting we have any information yet that this is a terrorist attack, but you presume that. So the FBI will take the lead until something makes that dispositive. So they'll work that thread first, and then they'll find out where that takes it. And what you have to do is you have to follow the evidence. And what kind of evidence? Well, there's human intelligence, which means that they're going to spread out. They're going to fan out across the country if it takes that to talk to locate people that had any connection with this individual, family members, friends, associates, colleagues, former employers or employees, things like that. Then the second piece of this is signal intelligence, and that means that they're going to do a scrub. I mentioned digital exhaust. You don't do anything today without having some type of digital exhaust, whether you open your laptop, you get on your iPad, you make a phone call, you drive through a bridge crossing and your Easy Pass clicks, a license plate reader picks you up. There's so much digital exhaust. So those two things have to be done simultaneously. But like I said at the top, the number one goal right now for law enforcement is to make sure that this is it, that there is no broader conspiracy and that there are no other potential accomplices out there that need to be rounded up.
James, as we're covering this, I've got about 6 monitors in front of me, and in one of those monitors, I saw a woman crying. One of the other things that's happening right now, families are being notified. Can you tell us about that process?
That is the absolute worst part of the job in law enforcement. And what's going on right now is what's called a family reunification center is being set up. Now it's outside of the perimeter. There'll be an inner perimeter for secure purposes. There'll be an outer perimeter. And then there will be a family reunification center. And that's where civilians, that's where parents of these young children are going to be directed to go. And imagine, I can't even fathom, I cannot even grasp the difficulty of what those parents are going through, hoping beyond hope that their child is alive, and then sitting next to somebody else that maybe their child was one of the ones that was killed in this.
So imagine being one of the parents and your child went to school on the school bus, walked to school, you drove to school, and they come out or didn't come out. Now that's terrifying. Now this man has got ties to El Salvador, and I am not saying anything about where he came from.
What?
He killed his grandmother and went on a rampage.
You're going, from the chatter I'm hearing, you're going to find out that this was planned. How long it was planned, I don't know. His girlfriend's currently being questioned.
Okay, well, send that to me, because I don't like to, I want facts on this channel only. But we're dealing with sick individuals. Not sick, like mentally ill. We're sicky, we're talking about criminals. Okay? Tracy said, could you imagine being a parent and not being able to find your child? No, I couldn't. No, I could not. I could not. I could not. I could not. We have a bunch of new names in here, guys. Make sure you hit the sub button. We go live. You come in. It is heartbreaking. Very heartbreaking. Indiana girl, what'd she say? Hang on. People do snap. They do snap. They do snap. Okay. They snap. Not to this level. Not to this level. I mean, unless they're totally psychotic. This person is psychotic. Psychotic. Savage said, this is the reason my child is homeschooled. My heart breaks for these parents. And that is a sad day when you feel bad to send your child to school. Why? Why? When I walk into an airport, am I patted down? Why? To the courthouse, am I patted down? But to a school? Denise Church, I love you. She said, I would demand security at every school. Now, the military is a different story, but there should be enough. Hell, we have people that would volunteer to do it. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Maryland installed metal detectors and everything at the entrance of every school, and yet
In Baltimore, they had to.
And yet guns have still managed to get smuggled into the school.
But how would guns get in through a metal detector?
Well, it wouldn't. Somehow or another, it's either coming in through a window or
then make
a kid going through
safer.
a locked door.
Then make it safe. Like an airport. I used to work for Omni Airlines. Nobody could get on there. Nobody. No one. So why are our children not important? I don't understand it. Catherine, welcome to the channel. She says, on a sad Tuesday, my question is, did he act alone, or do we have we don't have anything right now? Nothing, but we're going to keep on this.
Well, so, the governor was the local authorities were staying tight-lipped. It was the governor, Governor Abbott, who said exactly how many kids were killed and everything.
He gave, I didn't hear about that, but I mean, he basically gave a synopsis of what he had been told. I didn't hear anything, but this is sick.
Oh, no. I mean, we've been dealing as far as with missing children and everything. And as far as the drama and everything as far as how the missing kids get exploited. Now, times that by 1,000, equal to the shooting.
Right?
It's like it takes a mass shooting of children before anything is done.
But what's it going to take? We've had so much America's a huge country, okay? Don't get me wrong. We're big.
Mm-hmm.
So what's it going to take? Taking guns away won't work because the criminals will get them. So what's going to happen so that the children are protected? Evil will always find a way. It will. Good will too. Love will.
Mm-hmm. I mean, do we go back in time to the 1800s as far as when kids went to school with guns as far as to protect themselves?
Hang on, Karen said. That's what I was trying to let Brooks know. What did you say, Karen? What'd you say? Hang on. Because we have an open chat here. Fox News has a video of the shooter entering the school. Oh, hang on. Let me go find it. And like Savage said, and I'm saying, and you're saying, make every school like an airport. They're children. Right?
Yeah, they're the next generation.
They are.
Each generation to keep this country going.
So press on. I mean, we're coming on 2022. We got to vote, right?
Yep.
Press on who we're going to vote for and say, this is what I want done. Mrs. Kelly said, look at my comment. He was responding to. He was dressed in all black. Just give me 1 second. Peach Rose said, if we stop coddling and giving out participation trophies, that might help a little bit. That would help a lot. That would help a lot. That would help a lot. All right, give me a second, guys. I'm going to stop this screen. I'll find it. Just give me a second.
The shooter was Salvador Romas, an 18-year-old. Male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle, but that is not yet confirmed according to my most recent report. He shot and killed horrifically, incomprehensibly, 14 students and killed a teacher. Mr. Romas, the shooter, he himself is deceased and is believed that responding officers killed him. The shooter was Salvador Romas, an 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle, but that is not yet confirmed according to my most recent report. He shot and killed horrifically, incomprehensibly, 14 students and killed a teacher. Mr. Romas, the shooter, he himself is deceased and is believed that responding officers killed him. The shooter was Salvador.
Okay, everyone, you are watching live here on Live Now from Fox. Of course, we got you covered right here, giving you these updates in real time. We appreciate all our viewers continuing to watch here with us during this very tragic update right now as we are waiting for more updates from the police. We just heard from Governor Greg Abbott there moments ago talking about the suspect as well as the victims that have died here in this tragedy. And this was at an elementary school, and it played out earlier today where we were first getting alerts on this about 11:43 local time. And we want to show you now a look here as more FBI agents are coming to the scene right now. These are live, raw, and always unfiltered images bringing to you in real time here on Live Now from Fox, everybody. This is a live look at the hospital right now where many of the victims have been taken, and we are continuing to wait for more updates.
Okay, I want to address this comment from Butterfly Dana. She said, I don't enjoy people saying, you people that have guns, I hope that happens to you. You are insane. Shame on you for saying that. Why can't we protect ourselves? Why can't we? If a criminal gets a gun and does something horrific like today, then why should anyone question that we should lose our right to defend ourselves? It's a question. We have an open chat here, by the way. Mrs. Kelly, it's our constitutional right. Yes, it is. Doom guy. Some parents don't discipline their kids, and when they do in public, they get in trouble. Not strict enough. This is getting ridiculous. Ridiculous. We have the right to protect ourselves. We do. Now, I'm not saying go ninja out on the street if someone cuts you off at the gas station. I will never say that. But there are some people out there, and it's not every day. What we talk about on this channel is basically, believe it or not, more rare than you think. It really is. So I want everyone to rest easy tonight and be calm. Just be calm, okay? Just be calm. No one be upset. Please. Please. Are you there, Lone Wolf?
Yeah. Everybody needs to be more aware of your family, of your neighbors. There used to be a time years ago where it was safe to go away for the weekend with your doors unlocked on your home and come back from a weekend and everything was still okay. Communities got together for cookouts. Neighbors checked on one another. Since the internet and everything, as far as the way technology has been advancing for the last 20 to 30 years, it's like there's just no community anymore.
Well, there is. I mean, we have one here.
Oh, I know, and I love it.
I mean, we talk to each other. We check on each other. I mean, we do. What other people do, I can't explain for, because we have a lot of things that have gone on violently that the media skips around, and then all of a sudden the politicians come out and said, well, the guns. Hang on. And I will get into a lot of trouble for this. Someone with an agenda did the unspeakable. So we do have a community here. We do care about each other. We do.
And I would like to see it somehow expand into the YouTube streets, because well, it's not just YouTube, it's every social media platform. But
Inmate said, what happened to Kevin? Kevin's with his grandkids. He's been super busy. Real Deal said, how did they get the guns? Let's start there. Exactly. Because if you have someone who has no right to have a gun, then how'd they get it? That's a different thing. That's totally different.
Live Sky Fox images, of course, bringing to you right here on Live Now from Fox. But we have these different shots available to us that we want to bring to your attention here. FBI and other law enforcement here at the scene. A very, very terrible update that we were bringing to you. When we first got on with this breaking news, we heard of the shooting, and then we heard about at least 2 dead. And now that number has skyrocketed to a really unthinkable number of at least 15 dead here. And this is all taking place, of course, as I was mentioning, in Uvalde, Texas, of an active shooting investigation, learning now that the suspect has been killed as well. And we are waiting for more updates here, but we have several different shots available to us, and wanted to just bring to your attention right now of this terrible update coming out of Texas. A terrible, terrible situation, no doubt about it, right here on Live Now from Fox, bringing you all of the updates in real time as we await for more updates coming from officials, the FBI, sheriff's office, and different law enforcement that, of course, have come out to this area and continuing to provide you with the very latest. So we know that 15 people dead, 14 have been children, and one teacher shot dead in this shooting in Uvalde. And the shooting suspect has also been killed as this investigation continues. We are waiting for more updates from police and school officials as expected at any moment right now. I do want to go to the map here just to kind of give you an idea of where this is right now. And you can see just the 80 miles away from San Antonio. And you can see where that Robb Elementary School is right there on your map. Let me just move it just a little bit for you so you can see it, the red right there. Doing the different shots available here to us right now. And we do know that at least 14 school children have been killed in this mass shooting. And now this is a live look at the hospital in town right there in Uvalde. As you can see, more medical helicopters coming to the scene right here on Live Now from Fox, and we wanted to continue to bring you these updates right here as we have different shots available to us of this horrible tragedy in Uvalde, Texas, awaiting an update from police. We were told it was going to happen sometime this hour. Obviously, a very fluid situation where so many things can be changing. And in this very moment, we are just awaiting on the different shots that we have available to us right now and really the different feeds here. But we are continuing to break it down all in real time right here of this terrible news update that we are bringing to you. So we had a reporter there in the shot. We had to, we have all these different shots available to us that, of course, they're at the scene right now and also around the area at the local hospital, as well as where different staff are at this time. Live Now from Fox continues to bring you all of the information that we best can in real time right here on Live Now from Fox, as this is what we do here, bring you live images, breaking news, events, all as they are coming in and waiting for the updates from the school. We're waiting maybe from police, FBI, the sheriff's office, and so many right here at this time. Also, just want to show you right here, we have people now, Governor Phil Murphy out of New Jersey weighing in, saying he is heartbroken by today's elementary school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. No child or educator should ever fear going to school, and no parent should ever fear sending their child to school. We must end our violence there. Senator Ted Cruz saying, Heidi and I are fervently lifting up in prayer the children and families in the horrific shooting in Uvalde. We are in close contact with local officials, but the precise details are still unfolding. Thank you to heroic law enforcement and first responders for acting so swiftly. Senator Ted Cruz representing Texas, of course, there. And then Senator Gutierrez saying, my focus right now is making certain that local law enforcement, health providers, and affected families have all of the resources they need. We will have more information as it becomes available. Tony Gonzalez representing Texas. My heart breaks for the city of Uvalde. Prayer for our families, he said. And then he leaves this Bible verse from Matthew 19:14 saying, children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from him. Jesus said, let the little children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. And these are just some of what are the very early moments right here that we will be getting from really officials from across the country and around the world of this tragic update here in Uvalde, Texas.
The shooter was Salvador Romas, an 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed.
That's another thing I want to say, Brooks.
Go ahead.
Everybody has to think, those that believe in God, pray for the first responders, the medical personnel, and everything, because any child that dies, it has a lasting effect. And with this being a mass shooting, you will always remember it. No amount of therapy can get the images out of your mind. And I'm speaking from experience.
And you're right. You're 100% right. This is not anything that anyone wants to see, especially the families. And in my opinion, it's not time for a political argument. You know, it's not.
It's not.
Because there's no way in hell you're going to remove guns. You know, I mean, I've got 2 TVs going in my house right now, and it's everywhere. And what I want to do is just unite everybody so we can get through this as a community. I don't know why things have gone so sideways. Real Deal said, Brooks are saying 21 dead. Can we verify that? It's scrolling on my TV right now. It is. It is. It is. It is. Yep, it is. I shouldn't say it. What a terrible thing to say. What a terrible thing for me to say. Let's do a music break. Is that okay?
Yeah. To Jackie Blue, one thing I like about the oath I took was to protect our Constitution. Not only do I back the blue and the military, I back the Second Amendment and the First Amendment. The First Amendment is the right to believe in whatever you believe. But the First Amendment means that whether you believe in God or not, you are born to do good.
Absolutely. And what
Evil,
happens? And what
evil
happens?
is a choice.
Evil will not win. Evil will not win.
Evil is a choice.
It is, and
There's-
it's
there's-
very it's sad what happened today. It's I can't explain what happened today. And there's not a law that can fix it. Nothing.
Now, humanity.
Diane said free
My-
speech, freedom of religion. Exactly right. That's exactly it. So guys, never give up on yourselves, your faith, your country, your family, and what's going on right now. And we see it popping up all the time. We do. Be aware of your surroundings and know that you have friends here.
You can join Brooks's Discord, and there's always somebody available 24/7. "24 hours a day, 7 days a week."
And the worst thing that these people want is to face their afterlife. People that harm children, Jackie said, this weather and tornadoes isn't climate change. It's God saying you better change. I agree. The good will stand together. I promise you that. I promise. Good always succeeds. It can't be stopped.
Nope. Good trumps evil. Everybody has two choices in life. You can either choose to do good or you can choose to do evil. I choose to do good. And my principle is to help at least one person every single day until the day I die. Now, just imagine if every single person was to do that, how much better this world would be.
If you can tonight, light a candle.
And make sure you blow it out before you go to bed. wiping back the tears.
I know, me too.
It's all good though.
Well, we have friends here, and we have people that talk to each other, right?
Yep. Just like a new trucker was on the road last night in the area that was being hit by the tornadoes, and I kept him updated on the weather while he was on the road. The thing about tragedies for me, I take that anger and turn it from negative energy into positive energy to try to make changes. I'm so thankful, Brooks, for finding your community when I did.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Your community is now my family.
Well, you're our family too. And to everyone out there, just know that you're my friend, and I care about you deeply. I care about all your opinions, your theories, every case we talk about, everything we talk about. I did mute myself because I have a new neighbor who has a dog outside. So I was kind of like Allie with her dog out, with her neighbor's dog outside yelling. And yeah. And I agree, Amy. Turn to God. Whatever God you look at, I don't care. Go that way. Quit with this other stuff. We have the best community and the best chat on YouTube. We can get together in a heartbeat and talk about whatever's going on. And it's all okay. We can agree to disagree. No one here is in the wrong. No one. On that note, I'm going to shut this down, and we'll get rolling into tomorrow. I just think that you guys are the most amazing people on YouTube. Thank you, Lone Wolf, for coming up. Thank you, everybody, for coming up and giving your honest opinion and being willing to support it and having an open conversation and not be scared to speak openly. And we're all friends here, right? We support each other.
I want to thank you, Brooks. Thank the mods. and thank the chat for everybody in chat.
Well,
This
you're
is
a big
what
part of this
community
community.
is.
It is. It is. So you guys on the way out, if you have time, hit sub it, save the children, do what you can do in your local community with the schools to get the schools safe. It's not an overnight thing. It won't happen today. It won't happen tomorrow. I know that. But I'm telling you something right now. You guys are 100% the best, the best community in chat on YouTube. I will see you tomorrow. I don't know what time right now because I don't know what time Josh Duggar's sentencing is coming out. But I have a feeling I'm going to be live again pretty soon about what's going on with the shooting. So hit your reminder and get ready. You guys are the absolute best. I'll either see you in Discord or in the Facebook group. You're absolutely wonderful. Thank you.